Let's meet the scintillating panelists to my immediate left. Former Night Talk legal analyst during the Johnny Gamage case. His name is Mark Sindler. He's a criminal defense attorney. Here's a call from Lamar on Night Talk. How you doing tonight, Lamar?
Yes, how you guys doing?
Hi, Lamar.
Yes, properly trained. Why didn't they notice that this man's movement, and through this man's movement, or any other sign that this man was in trouble or his life was in jeopardy?
Sergeant Sheldon referred today to it's a concept called the force continuum. It's a series of graduated steps that go from the bottom step being where a person is just merely present and the officer is talking to that person. The highest step would be where the officer fears that he's in danger of losing his life or serious bodily injury. An officer, it's oftentimes difficult when you're on the street and you're in the field that you can assess what is going on through someone's mind. You can only assess what's on the outside, what the person appears to be doing. It's difficult for someone to say or assess, if you're an officer, that I've stopped breathing. And in this case, it actually works to the benefit of the defense, because no officer could ever know that in that situation that someone like Johnny Gamage could not breathe or could not
well, if the guy was laying there like a big lump of wood, wouldn't it be reasonable to deduce that?
It would be reasonable in this sense, and I think that the one thing the prosecution may in fact emphasize during its closing arguments, which may begin as soon as tomorrow, is that when Officer Albert had used one of his two knees across the shoulder blades or the upper back of Johnny Gamage, there was some testimony that I heard either yesterday or the day before that would indicate that that knee came close to his neck. Officers are trained nationwide, and there's no difference here in this case. You never put any kind of pressure directly upon the neck of a suspect, because that's not proper training. He came close, and he came close to that line.
I talked to Cyril Wecht's secretary today. She said she thought he was going to be testifying tomorrow. I guess as a rebuttal witness? We'll find out.
As you know, John, that's only hearsay, but...
All right. Well, his secretary ought to know. Well, shouldn't you? All right, Mark, thank you very much. You'll be back tomorrow to update us on the Gamage case?
Indeed.
Indeed. Night Talk legal analyst Mark Sindler.
Just pick up on one thing that Bobby said. Right. I've practiced in some other counties here in Pennsylvania. There's only 67 to count, but if that case involving Gigi Sullivan would have been tried in a different county, less populated, a little more rural than Allegheny County, I think that she would not have been given the rope that Judge Colville gave her, and she would have been sent right to a state prison. So I think it's unfair to say that looking at that one case in a microcosm, that would have happened if it would have happened anywhere else in Pennsylvania, because Allegheny County is different just by virtue of its population, and in some respects is similar to the way in which justice is served, perhaps in Philadelphia County, also obviously more populated.
Oh, really? So in rural counties they tend to be tougher just because
they're tougher not just because of the popularity or perhaps of the position that Gigi Sullivan held. Of course, she was a district justice before she was taken from that position, but you see time and again, and I used to prosecute drug dealers when I was with the Attorney General's office, but you would see people getting sentences a lot stiffer in counties like that, in counties besides Allegheny, besides Westmoreland, where either you're going more toward the central part of the state or up toward perhaps the northern tier.
It's good enough for me. All right, Mark.
Another difficulty, John, is the fact that when you have people on the outside, people who read newspapers, people who aren't serving on the jury where verdicts are obviously rendered, they have a different perception of what's going on, yet there's 12 people in the box, not counting the alternates perhaps, who are getting it from day one, from the opening statement all the way through the closing, and of course the judge's instructions. And when you're living through a trial like that, as you must as a juror, giving your undivided attention, the result that you render as a juror is going to be much different. The perception of the people who are not there day in and day out are going to be very different than the people, of course, who have to make that very close decision or very difficult decision. If in a criminal case, whether it's guilty or not guilty.
I disagree with Clinton. No.
Clinton would have done fine.
Why wouldn't he have done fine? You look at what happened in 1996, the Khobar Towers attack, and the 1998.
That was so far removed. People can't find Khobar on a map.
People are dying. Servicemen are dying. Citizens are dying. They're not dying on our shores. They're dying on someone else's shores. Go back to 1993, when the World Trade Center was first attacked. It's only because the nation's financial markets or the world financial markets are hit, you have enormous loss of life that we're now doing something about it. You have 3 specific instances in the past decade where we knew again and again what was going to happen, and this, as a result, has happened 6 or 7 weeks ago.
There was not the public will to go in and do what we're doing now. And you know what? We've been bombing the crap out of them for several days, and you know what? We still don't have Osama bin Laden. I'm not saying we're not going to get him.
Not because necessarily loss of life is huge. You can't even put a price tag on it. It's because of the symbolism. The buildings that go down, and the way in which it was done, using us against us. Our flight schools,
Sure, yeah.
our commerce, our airplanes, the whole thing.